August 22nd, 2025, Charlotte, North Carolina, a late summer evening, a quiet train, and one young woman on her way home. She had survived bombings in Kyiv. She had survived the pain of leaving her homeland. She had survived starting over in a foreign country. But on that train, her life would end in minutes. Her name was Iryna Zarutska. She was 23 years old, and this is her story. Iryna was born on May 22, 2002, in Kyiv, Ukraine. She grew up with her parents, Anna and Stanislav, and her siblings, Valeria and Bogdan. Kyiv was a vibrant city of history and culture. Iryna's childhood was filled with school, family traditions, and time spent drawing and painting. From an early age, she had a passion for art. She would sketch animals, design outfits, and decorate her notebooks with colorful patterns. Her teachers described her as quiet, patient, and dedicated. She could spend hours working on a single piece of art. Friends remembered her as someone who never sought the spotlight, but who radiated kindness. She later attended Synergy College in Kyiv, where she specialized in art and restoration. She learned how to restore paintings, sculpt with precision, and design clothes. It was challenging work, requiring attention to detail. But she loved every moment. Outside of school, Iryna was deeply connected to animals. She often walked her neighbors' dogs. She dreamed of one day working with animals professionally. This passion, her family later explained, would become part of her plans in America. In February 2022, everything changed. Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Kyiv came under fire. Air raid sirens wailed daily. Families crowded into basements and subway stations, waiting for bombs to stop falling. Iryna and her family endured months of this terror. They sheltered in their home, listening to explosions in the distance, feeling the walls shake. Every day was a question of survival. By August 2022, the family made a heartbreaking decision. Iryna, her mother, her sister, and her brother would flee Ukraine. They entered the United States under the refugee program. Her father, Stanislav, could not leave. Ukrainian law barred men of military age from exiting the country. That separation would remain one of the family's deepest pains. Arriving in Huntersville, North Carolina, the family moved in with Iryna's aunt and uncle. Everything was new. The language, the food, the streets, the culture. But Iryna was determined to adapt. She found work at a care home, helping elderly residents. She later joined Zapetti's Pizzeria, where she quickly became a line cook. Her co-workers recalled how she always smiled, always stepped in to help, and never complained about long hours. She enrolled in community college English classes. She practiced for her driver's license. She saved every paycheck, determined to pay for training to become a veterinary assistant. Her uncle described her as the glue of the family. She encouraged her siblings, supported her mother, and filled the home with positivity. In the summer of 2025, she bought her first car. It was an old but reliable vehicle, and to her, it symbolized independence. She told her family she wanted her first trip after getting her license to be a visit to relatives nearby. Her family said she had truly fallen in love with the American dream. On the night of Friday, August 22nd, Iryna boarded the Lynx Blue Line light rail around 9:46 p.m. at the East-West Boulevard station in Charlotte. She sat near the back of the train car. Behind her sat a man she did not know, DeCarlos DeJuan Brown Jr., age 34. According to the FBI affidavit, 4 minutes later, at approximately 9:50 p.m., Brown quietly unfolded a folding pocket knife. He stood. He attacked. He struck Iryna 3 times. She collapsed to the floor of the train. Brown exited calmly. Police officers arrested him within minutes on the platform. Iryna was pronounced dead at the scene. Her uncle later explained, "She took the first seat that was available. It looked like she didn't recognize there was any danger." To understand the tragedy that took Iryna Zarutska's life, we must also look at the man accused of killing her, DeCarlos DeJuan Brown Jr. Brown was born in North Carolina in 1991. He grew up in Charlotte, raised by his mother in a family that struggled with poverty, instability, and fractured relationships. From a young age, who knew him described him as troubled. Teachers noted disruptive behavior in school. Family members recall mood swings, moments of paranoia, and long periods where he isolated himself. His mother, in later interviews, said that by his teenage years, she could see something was different. He would talk to himself, accuse others of plotting against him, and sometimes act aggressively without warning. By his late teens, his interactions with the law had already begun. Court records show Brown's first arrests came in the late 2000s when he was still in his teens and early 20s. Between 2007 and 2009, he faced charges for misdemeanor assault, disorderly conduct, and resisting officers. Most of these charges were dismissed or reduced, but the pattern had begun. Police reports describe incidents where Brown would lash out suddenly, getting into fights, refusing to comply with officers, or disturbing public places. His family hoped these were just youthful mistakes, but the pattern continued. In 2013, Brown was arrested for felony breaking and entering. He was convicted in 2014, sentenced to 30 days in jail and 2 years probation. That same year, things grew more serious. He was charged with robbery with a dangerous weapon and felon in possession of a firearm. Court records describe a frightening incident. Brown, already a convicted felon, carried a weapon during a robbery. He was convicted and sent to prison. Brown served more than 5 years in a North Carolina prison, from 2014 until his release in September 2020. Family members later said that prison changed him. He returned more paranoid, more aggressive, and more unstable than before. His mother said he wasn't the same person when he came back. Neighbors described him walking around at night, yelling to himself, and accusing others of spying on him. After leaving prison in 2020, Brown's encounters with the law continued. Between 2022 and 2024, he was arrested multiple times. Charges included assault on a female and repeated misuse of 911. Some charges were dismissed, others lingered in the courts. Family members noticed his paranoia growing worse. His sister said he began to believe people could read his thoughts. He accused the government of implanting a chip in his body. He often refused to eat or sleep, claiming something inside was controlling him. In January 2025, police were called again. Brown had been misusing 911, making bizarre claims. In one incident, an officer recorded Brown's statement that a man-made material was controlling his movements. When he walked, when he ate, when he spoke. Despite clear signs of mental instability, Brown was released on a written promise to appear in court. In July 2025, just 1 month before the attack on Iryna, a judge ordered a forensic mental evaluation. The goal: to determine whether Brown was competent to stand trial in ongoing cases. But the evaluation never took place before August 22nd. The system failed to act quickly enough. This was, according to prosecutors and commentators later, a missed opportunity, a moment when intervention might have prevented the tragedy. Brown's mother and sister spoke to ABC News after his arrest. His sister explained, he believed people could read his mind. He wasn't in touch with reality. His mother said, he thought there was something inside him controlling when he ate, when he walked. They admitted he had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, but they also revealed that he often refused to take his medication. His paranoia grew stronger, his delusions deeper, his behavior more unpredictable. The picture of DeCarlos Brown Jr. is not simple. On one hand, he was a man with a long criminal record, robberies, assaults, weapons charges, a man who had proven himself dangerous in the past. On the other hand, he was a man suffering from severe, untreated mental illness, diagnosed but left largely unmanaged, moving through a system that repeatedly released him despite warning signs. He was both a convicted felon and a man lost in delusion. And in August 2025, that combination of violence and untreated illness would collide with the life of a young refugee who wanted nothing more than peace. The life of DeCarlos Brown Jr. It is a story of early trouble, prison time, mental decline, and systemic failure. It is a story that left red flags unaddressed, warnings unanswered, opportunities missed, and ultimately, it became part of the story of Iryna Zarutska, whose life ended because of it. Authorities have not confirmed a motive. No link was found between Brown and Iryna. She was, in every sense, a random victim. Brown was charged in North Carolina State Court with first-degree murder. But within days, the U.S. Department of Justice announced additional federal charges. The federal indictment, committing an act causing death on a mass transportation system under 18 U.S.C. Section 1992. This charge carries a maximum penalty of life imprisonment or the death penalty. Prosecutors cited the surveillance video, eyewitness testimony, and Brown's own statements as key evidence. As of September 2025, no verdict has been reached. Brown is undergoing evaluation to determine his competence to stand trial. He remains presumed innocent until proven guilty. On August 27, 2025, just 5 days after her death, Iryna was laid to rest in Charlotte. Her father, Stanislav, could not attend in person. He remained in Ukraine, barred from leaving by wartime restrictions. Instead, he joined the service by video call. Family, friends, and members of Charlotte's Ukrainian community gathered in mourning. Candles were lit, flowers surrounded her coffin. Songs were sung in Ukrainian. The family decided against repatriating her body to Kyiv. They explained, Iryna loved America. This was the home she had dreamed of. They wanted her to rest where she had begun her new life. On August 31st, a candlelight vigil was held at the East-West Boulevard station, the very place she boarded her final train. Hundreds attended, holding candles and signs. Community leaders spoke about justice and reform. In a statement released publicly, the Zarutska family wrote, "We are heartbroken beyond words. Iryna came here to find peace and safety, and instead her life was stolen from her in the most horrific way." They described her as a kind and hard-working young woman, deeply loved by her family and friends. They demanded justice. They demanded accountability from transit authorities. And they begged the public not to share the video of her death. Her uncle remembered how she had just bought her first car. He recalled the very first trip she was going to make after getting her license was to drive and come visit us. That trip never happened. The tragedy sparked outrage across Charlotte and beyond. Transit officials admitted there was no security guard in the train car that night. They explained that officers patrol the system, but they are not present in every car. Critics called this unacceptable. Members of Congress called the stabbing disturbing and heartbreaking. The president himself said that if convicted, Brown should face the death penalty. Debates erupted nationwide. Some pointed to failures in the mental health system, others to weaknesses in the justice system that released Brown despite repeated red flags, and others criticized the lack of safety on public transportation. The case became more than a local crime. It became a symbol of systemic cracks that cost a young refugee her life. Iryna Zarutska's story is not only about her death, it is about her life, her art, her love of animals, her dreams of becoming a veterinary assistant, her courage to leave a war-torn country and start over, her laughter, her smile, her kindness. She survived war. She survived displacement. She built a new life. Her family's plea is clear. Remember her for her life, not her final moments. Her uncle said she was just trying to live her life and she deserved to live it. That is how we should remember Iryna.